All right, here we go. Why most AAA games have no soul.
What is happening to
Let's
the
see what it
studios
is.
we loved? How can they make some of the
You know what to
greatest
do.
games of all
Hit that.
time, then turn around and just make disappointment after disappointment? It felt like the end of AAA games, but then Elden Ring came out. Why is Elden Ring such a breath of fresh air when most other AAA games feel copy-pasted? And why did this game cause so much controversy?
Yeah.
Elden Ring is Game of the Year? The game is
Man, to answer these questions, we first need to
Oh,
understand
man.
that when Elden Ring came out, the game defied everyone's expectation.
Right.
Elden Ring sold 12 million copies in the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Even Miyazaki, the mastermind behind Elden Ring, was surprised by the success. And to
Hmm.
put the sales into context, Elden Ring at release was on pace to sell the same amount of copies as some of the best-selling open-world
Yo.
games of the last decade. GTA 5, Skyrim,
Yep.
and Breath of the Wild. I mean, if you really think
Hey,
about
let's be real. Skyrim, they kept releasing this damn game over and over for like 10 years straight, right? 10, like constantly. Oh, dude, we have Elden Ring. I mean, you know, one game versus Skyrim that's been re-released constantly over and over again.
about it, Elden Ring should not have been performing as well as these other games. Don't get me wrong, Elden Ring is an incredible game, but most FromSoft games are pretty niche. They usually target
Very
a more
niche.
hardcore and advanced
Dark
player
Souls
base.
style.
By nature, FromSoft games shouldn't sell as much as Zelda or GTA. But this time, Elden Ring did. Why?
Yep.
What was different about Elden Ring, and what set it apart from other FromSoft games? The answer? Nothing really. Yes, Elden Ring was open world, so unlike other Souls games, you could avoid certain bosses and areas. Yes, the lore was some of the best I'd ever seen in a game.
Yeah.
The world was so immersive that I don't think I could ever find everything in the mysterious world of the lands between. Seriously, Elden Ring is a masterpiece. Go play this game. But I would argue that almost every FromSoft game is a masterpiece too. And just like the other Souls games, Elden Ring still
Yeah, for its
targets
style,
a
of
hardcore
course,
player base,
that's
and the
what your
gameplay is
niche
still
is.
punishing as hell. So
Yep.
why then is Elden Ring capturing a much larger chunk of the gaming market? There is a huge demand for high quality AAA games, and
Yeah.
not much of a supply. I mean, imagine you're at a restaurant and you have a hankering for some steak.
Also,
There
plus they have like no store stuff. Like most AAA games now have nothing but like, hey, here's the game. Oh, here's the item shop.
Out of stock.
And you know what that
All they
means?
have left is some burnt scraps of cooked steak they can shovel onto a plate, or you can get a delicious honey baked ham with a sweet honey drizzle.
Yeah.
So although you wanted a steak, you choose the honey baked ham because the steak scraps just aren't edible. This is the AAA game market we are in right now. Millions of gamers looking at the piss poor options, praying to Gabe, the god of Steam, to give them anything fun and exciting. It doesn't matter what genre, as long as it's good. Just give us something edible and satisfying.
People are looking
So
for
when
fun
Elden Ring
escape
came out
game,
and
you
the
know?
world saw how amazing
Either
this
the game
was,
is either fun or it's not fun, and then your game is trash, you know?
people
As
who were
usually as
originally
goes.
intimidated by Souls games looked at Elden Ring and said, screw it, let's try it out. I got nothing else to play. So like the guy choosing the ham over the burnt steak, I would argue that Elden Ring's meteoric success is not only a byproduct of how good the game is, but because there's such a small supply of good AAA titles right now. Elden Ring really is the best option
Yeah.
on the menu. However, like every industry, there will be people who hate or love something purely because of its popularity. And man, do we have a few in the gaming industry. But
Oh,
what's
yeah.
surprising this time, many of the
I
people
was gonna say,
who
Ubisoft
hate
is
Elden Ring
the
are
main one,
developers
or
and
well,
other studios.
some of the people in
infuriated
there.
by Elden Ring's success.
Same developer who said, Elden Ring's UX is so bad that I can only imagine FromSoft's devs smoking at their desks and using CRT monitors.
I guess these developers felt that the game violated certain tenets of game development, and by violating these rules of development, Elden Ring didn't deserve its success. Why would these devs be so angry about Elden Ring's success? Who cares if Elden Ring didn't follow the rules
Right.
of game development? It's not like Elden Ring's success affects them. Well, mostly. I can see why developers at Guerrilla Games were upset. Elden Ring released only 1 week after Horizon Forbidden West,
Yeah.
so you could say that Elden Ring overshadowed the hype around Horizon. So Horizon possibly
You
didn't
could
perform
say that,
as
but
expected.
it
The reason
really
is
don't
petty,
matter unless
and
your
in no
game
way
is
Elden
good,
Ring's
you know?
fault. But at least I can see where the Guerrilla devs' frustration comes from. But why were Ubisoft devs so upset? None of their sales were affected by the release of Elden
Exactly.
Ring. Now, remember, these were only a few people and not the whole studio
Exactly.
who were angry at Elden Ring. However, the response from gamers to not only these devs, but Ubisoft as a whole
Yep.
showed us something really
And let's
interesting.
be real, Ubisoft been making the same damn game also with Assassin's Creed, you know. Like the first two Assassin's Creed, great, whatever, you know. And then they got that formula, and then all of a sudden, we got an item shop, and we got all this other stuff with Ubisoft Store and Uplay and all that other crap. And yeah,
Gamers are tired of playing the same thing. We are
Yeah.
tired of the formulaic nature of Ubisoft.
there's nothing wrong
and
with
other
it, you know.
AAA games.
As long as you keep making
It
stuff
has a
new
satisfying
about it.
shooter-looter game loop. The graphics are great, the mechanics are well-tuned and executed, and the story's acceptable.
Bummer?
Yeah, it's exactly the same as all other Ubisoft games. It's
Yep.
just another copy-paste.
You see, when every
Yep.
user interface, every store, and every game looks relatively the same, we
Mhm.
notice it's like
Yep.
hotel art. Each piece of art is theoretically different, but somehow feels and functions
Yeah, it's like a
exactly
copy
the
pasta.
same. So when the first few Assassin's Creed games came out, they felt new and
Yep,
exciting. Running around
exactly.
the Holy Land of Rome, leaping off buildings, sneaking
Yep,
or
I was
hiding
just
in
saying
hay
that.
bales, it was unique. But now I can barely tell the difference between Assassin's Creed
they just
gameplay
threw a
and every
different skin
other
on.
Ubisoft game.
Yep.
Ubisoft thinks
Yeah, I
if
think
they
that's
just
getting
change
Watch
the era
Dogs.
and
Yep.
location of each game, we won't notice. I mean, one has knives and one has guns, right? But just like hotel art, they may look different, they don't feel any different. It's the same game with a new coat of paint. This reason is why Ubisoft devs reacted the way they did. They have been taught that to make a successful game, you need to follow a formula. So when a studio like FromSoftware makes Elden Ring without the formula and it's incredibly successful, it infuriates developers who have had their creativity restricted and pushed into a box. Now,
Yeah.
these devs who criticize FromSoft should take full responsibility for what they said in a public forum. However, I also blame AAA studios like Ubisoft for forcing their teams to create unimaginative copycats of their previous 10 games.
Yep.
We can get mad at a few devs all we want, but the real problem comes from the Ubisoft's executives choosing to be
Yeah, I mean, you see that all the time with Ubisoft.
formulaic.
They do the exact same thing
Why?
over and over, and it's like, bruh, it's literally I just bought this game for $60 or $50 at the time, and then you play it and you're like, okay, this is literally the same game. It's just, I'm just in France, or I'm just in Black Flag, or I'm just in a pirate, or I'm in the World War. Can't say it right. World War. You know, just fighting other redcoats and all this other shit. But it feels like the same game I fought when I was playing Brotherhood or something like that, and it's the same game over and over.
Are the leaders
Just
of
different
Ubisoft and other
slightly
AAA
different
studios
characters
hell-bent on
in a different
producing the
location.
same type of game? Why force your devs to work on the 100th Assassin's Creed when they want to work on something new and exciting?
Yeah.
The answer? Stability and money. This may be obvious to everyone, but milking an IP over and over again is the easiest way to make money as an entertainment
Oh, for
company.
sure,
It's
yeah.
the reason why we've had a
copy-
new Call
easy,
of Duty
copy, just
19
copy,
years in
keep
a row,
copying.
and also why 2022's top 20 best-selling games are all existing IP or
Yeah. Lego, Call of Duty for sure, Gran Turismo. Yep, 7. Jeez.
sequels, except for Elden Ring. See,
Yeah, Sonic might be brand new a little bit, but yeah, you know, Sonic been around for years, but different. Kirby maybe also, but yeah, Pokemon for sure. Yeah. Nintendo
seriously,
Sports, all
look at
that.
this.
Yeah,
Elden
Smash.
Ring is the only game on here that is a new IP. What's even more crazy about this list is that 2 of the top 20 games were Call of Duty games, and 3 of them were sports sequels, which are notorious for being the exact
Oh,
same
yeah.
as their predecessors.
That's why I stopped
We can
playing
complain
that a
about
long
these
time
games
ago.
being soulless copycats all we want, but we're the ones buying these soulless
And
games.
sports games are kind of the worst ones because they got no competition. When you got no competition to play in your sports team, it becomes the same damn game every year, which is why Madden is literally just an updated roster.
In droves.
And they also took
for companies
damn
to come up with brand new
fucking
games and
features
IP
away from the
is
damn
risky.
game, which
So
was
studios
hilarious
will
to
make
me
sequels
when they
for as
started doing
long
that.
as possible. If we keep
Yeah,
buying
new
it,
engine.
So I don't ever see studios not making sequels when we buy them year after year.
For
That
sure.
said, there is a negative effect on your brand when you don't release something new or innovative. Think about it. What is one of your favorite games? Remember when that game was released and how you felt about the developer of that game. Pretty good, right? Then think
Yeah.
about that specific developer's most recent games. How do those new games compare with your favorite game?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that developer now? Probably not great. For me, it was Blizzard and Warcraft 3. This game made Blizzard my favorite developer, and I wouldn't
It's
allow
kinda like me
a
with the
bad
Def Jam.
word
I like
to be
the
said
Def
about it.
Jam.
But now, Blizzard
First
has
one, then the
released
second one,
cash
Fight for New York,
grab
was like the
after
best
cash
one,
grab,
and
not to
then-
mention everything else they have done.
they
And I
dropped the
can't
ball
help
with the
but look at
third.
Blizzard with disappointment.
So
A
bad.
bad game happens sometimes. But Blizzard hasn't made a good game since 2016 with Overwatch. Not to mention they somehow butchered Warcraft 3 with the release of Reforged. I just can't imagine defending Blizzard anymore. The Blizzard brand has fallen from one of the greatest video game developers to a company that is compared to EA. But as we saw with Blizzard in the beginning, the opposite occurs when you release something new that just blows people away like Elden Ring. Gamers will have your back, even if the game isn't perfect. I mean, look at one of the biggest controversies on YouTube, featuring the Act Man and Quantum TV.
This guy made a video saying
Yeah.
like Elden Ring sucks or something, and he hates everyone that plays Elden Ring. So
Yeah,
Axeman
you
made
can
a
have
video
your
about,
opinion,
like,
though,
worst
but-
take in Elden Ring.
The
Of course,
drama
you know,
from
it's
these
just
Elden
your
Ring
opinion.
videos escalated to way more controversial stuff, like bigotry, copyright, demonetization, and the Act Man trending as the #1 story on Twitter. But all this stemmed from arguments about Elden Ring.
Has been,
Why?
though.
Because FromSoft had gained some huge brownie points for releasing pure art. And like any extravagant piece of art, people will have visceral reactions, both positive and
Yep.
negative. Which is also why people get so angry when you change the story and lore of video games with TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah,
Halo
I'm about
or
to
The
say,
Witcher.
yeah.
I mean,
When
Witcher
they-
3 was a beloved game and a piece of art to so many people. Not to mention the comics. So when you mess up the story and lore in the show, the
Yep.
community isn't toxic when they react negatively. They are passionately asking for you to respect that piece of art
Yeah.
as they do.
It's
All
like
this-
it's like in Marvel movies. Marvel movie they had a formula to change up certain things in Marvel movies, but you can still identify what is going on. Like Peter, Spider-Man for sure. They got like him as a character. You know the story. Somebody's gonna die. Either Uncle gonna die, somebody gonna die, and the lesson of Peter. With responsibility and all the attributes of a hero comes in, and of course it's always Peter's favorite person that passes away with that idea and everything like that. But if they change it up and say, oh yeah, Peter didn't nobody died in Peter's life. The only person that died in Peter's life was his friend, I don't know, Harry or Gwen, and that was it. You like, wait, what? just Gwen? That's it? Yeah, just Gwen. Not no mugger, not no before Spider-Man. No, he just grew up being an asshole. Uncle Ben didn't die. Only Gwen. And that's about it. And scene. And there's no story after that. You just have just a empty veil of just, Peter just had to deal with one death, and that's only. No, he deals with multiple. That's what makes Spider-Man him, and had know how to deal with grief. And that's about it.
That said, I don't just want to bash on AAA studios and walk away. True constructive criticism should have ideas for improvement, not just ranting. So if I had the opportunity to consult a AAA studio, I would suggest the Pareto principle to be applied company-wide. This principle, also known as
And of course, the Marvel
80-20
movies
rule,
changed
is the
that and made it that Ben wasn't even a thing. It was just the aunt. If you know, the movies, of course, they changed it up. But you knew it was coming.
observation that roughly 80%
You knew
of
it was coming.
consequences come from 20% of causes. One company effectively applying this technique is Google. During my time at Google, I saw how they allowed their employees to spend 20% of their time working on something the individual thought would most benefit the company. Both Gmail and AdSense came from this practice,
Yeah.
and the former made Google more than $54 billion just in 2022. A more applicable example is Fortnite. The original Fortnite concept was developed from an internal game jam put on by Epic Games. Although they don't strictly follow the 80-20 rule, a game jam is just one example of its application. Letting your team take time to work on new and innovative ideas. Just pure creativity with no deadlines. Creativity is the key to a company's longevity. You need to constantly innovate to stay alive. And it's what the AAA industry desperately needs.
Which is why a lot of live service games goes to shit eventually, because they keep the same thing going. But you know, if you have a live service, you have to keep changing up your gameplay or your weapons, or this weapon's gotta be buffed, or this weapon's gotta be nerfed, or this gotta be fixed, or this thing is a bug, or this bug needs to be fixed, or this is not a bug, this is a feature part of it. You know, you gotta keep changing.
So how can we get more games?
Can't just change a weapon. You gotta add
need
stuff
to
too,
allocate 20%
sure.
of all their resources to working on new and innovative games. No deadlines, no parameters, just pure creativity. Let your developers work part-time on something they are passionate about and be amazed at what they'll create. I'm not saying stop making sequels. As we saw, AAA studios make a lot of money from sequels, and sequels aren't always a bad thing. I'm stoked for a Hollow Knight 2, and I pray for a Warcraft 4. However, for AAA studios to be profitable while garnering the love and support of the gaming community, AAA studios should look at Elden Ring as an example to stop making formulaic games while applying Pareto's principle to let their developers conceptualize and build masterpieces we all will appreciate, like Elden Ring. Hey, thanks to everyone who joined our Discord and submitted their favorite indie games for this week's video.
Well, there you go. Going on indie. But yeah, sometimes the sequels can be good, you know. Just look at, and remakes can be good too. If you just look at like Final Fantasy and Dead Space, people like remakes if it's done well, and if you change up for the better for the game. Of course, some of them can be sequels or, you know, different ways of doing it. But for the most part, yeah. Of course, people have their opinion. They like you, they don't like you, they don't give a shit about you. They like you, they love you. It's all perspective. At the end of the day, really all perspective and what you like. You know, some devs gonna be pissed off that one developer doing everything right, and the other one's gonna be loving it. Fans gonna love it, and there you go. Yep. Ah, man, great stuff. All right, this video was pretty good. There you go. Most AAA games have no soul, but you know, that's just companies, really. You know, that's how it works. Longer you in the gaming force, the longer the bull stuff happens, and monetization. Yeah. Later.